have a great show coming your way on today's edition of Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend and your weeks are off to a phenomenal start. Coming up on today's show, we're going to do an Eagles offensive coordinator tracker, a look at the candidates who have interviewed for the Eagles OC job and are set to interview for the vacant Eagles offensive coordinator job, and all of the recent buzz around this search because it is pretty juicy. I do want to begin here, though. Another reminder, hit that subscribe button. Nobody is doing what we're doing here at Chat Sports and on Eagles Now, providing you with the best Eagles content and coverage right here on YouTube. And now that the offseason is here, we've been killing the game, and that's what we're going to continue to do. I'll be in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine. Going to be in Santa Clara, California for Super Bowl week, talking to a bunch of people around the NFL. So we'll bring you the latest news, rumors, and reports around the birds, NFL free agency coverage, NFL draft content. Anytime there is trade talk or trade buzz, we'll get into that as well. And we had a monster week last week, picking up more than 1,000 subscribers. Let's pick up some more subscribers here on the show. Hit that sub button and join the movement. All right. The confirmed and completed interviews for the Eagles offensive coordinator job. A lot of movement here over the weekend. Let's begin with Josh Grizzard, former offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a younger guy who's 35 years old, was the Bucs OC last year in replacing Dave Canales. Dave Canales had replaced Liam Cohen. So Tampa Bay has had a lot of success with their offensive coordinators over the last couple of years. Wasn't necessarily the case with Josh Grizzard, but as an offensive mind, did some good things with Tampa Bay. He was a safety at Yale from 2008 to 2011. So Ivy League guy, clearly has a lot of smarts. He was with the Miami Dolphins for a long time, predating Mike McDaniel, but also with Mike McDaniel, 2017 to 2023. Mike McDaniel from that Kyle Shanahan tree. If you like that Kyle Shanahan offense, you might like Josh Grizzard because the influences are certainly there, and I think that is pretty intriguing there. The Buccaneers, as I mentioned, have had a great history with recent offensive coordinators, and it's not like that Bucs offense was bad all year, and context is always important. They started the year really well. Baker Mayfield was playing like an MVP candidate. Then they were pretty bad the last couple months of the year. I think a big reason for that, all of the injuries that they suffered. And Tampa Bay is looking at their OC search saying, we can hire a Mike McDaniel or we can go with Josh Grizzard. Clearly, McDaniel is the better option there, and it looks as though that is going to happen potentially. We'll get more into that coming up here in just a bit. Confirmed and completed interview candidate number 2 is Bob Cooter. He is the current offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, of course, under Shane Steichen. I know the Colts did not make the playoffs this year, and under Shane Steichen, they haven't had success in making it to the postseason. But I actually think from a play calling and play design standpoint, developing the quarterback spot, because Shane Steichen hasn't had good quarterbacks really to work with, and him getting back Daniel Jones on track was really impressive. Shane Steichen's done some decent things. And, of course, Nick Sirianni has a lot of familiarity with the Colts organization. I'm a believer in Shane Steichen. We saw what he did in 2022. Best year of Jalen Hurts' career when he was the MVP runner-up. And so there are some ties here between Bob Cooter and Philadelphia. He was with the Eagles under Nick Sirianni in 2021 as an offensive consultant. He's been the Colts OC under Shane Steichen since Steichen took the job after that 2022 season, but he hasn't called plays with Indianapolis. He has play calling experience, though. He was the OC and play caller with the Detroit Lions several years ago. I think the Eagles wanted to bring in Bob Cooter because of that aforementioned familiarity with the Eagles organization. And I'll tell you this, if the Eagles hire Bob Cooter and he gets Jalen Hurts back on track and this offense starts to hum, the t-shirt ideas are going to go crazy here on Eagles Now. Can you imagine a t-shirt that reads Cooter Hurts with Bob Cooter and Jalen Hurts? I kind of need it to happen because that would be a fun storyline. Confirmed and completed interview number 3, Mike Kafka. Another person who has familiarity with this Eagles organization. A lot of you know him very well. for being the former offensive coordinator for the New York Giants under Brian Daboll and the interim head coach once Daboll got fired. The real ones will know Mike Kafka for being an Eagles legend as a player. He was selected by Andy Reid in the 4th round out of Northwestern in 2010. He spent 2 years with the Eagles as a backup quarterback. His professional career never worked out. His coaching path is somewhat enticing, though. He was on the Chiefs staff under Andy Reid from 2017 to 2021. He's got some head coaching buzz of late over the last couple of years. He was hired by Brian Daboll once Daboll got the head coaching job with the Giants after he was the OC for the Buffalo Bills. And Kafka was with the Giants from 2022 until this past year. This would be a really boring hire. Now, it's kind of sneaky that the Giants offense this past year under Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka actually rated pretty well, but they don't run a lot of pre-snap motion from an offensive scheme standpoint. They didn't do anything that really caught your attention, but the production was pretty good, and the rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart played pretty well. And going back to 2022, Daniel Jones actually played pretty well under Daboll and under Kafka. And then there's Zac Robinson, the former offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. If you had an issue with Kevin Patullo's play calling sequencing, play calling feel, and his bad play calls on third downs, Zac Robinson has a lot of the same problems. Zac Robinson does come from the Sean McVay coaching tree. That is a plus. The Falcons this past year were second in pre-snap motion rate at 67.2%. But that Falcons offense, with a ton of talent, wasn't great. Zac Robinson was up in the booth calling plays, but before that, he was on the sideline and had to make that switch because that offense was pretty dreadful. They did get a little bit better with Kirk Cousins at quarterback compared to Michael Penix. With Michael Penix, though, they were only in the pistol. And they were so predictable as an offense, throwing it and running it. So the pre-snap motion stuff coming from the Sean McVay tree, all of that is good. But why did he lack the play calling feel, play calling sequencing? Why were they so bad on third downs? He has to answer for that. He does have some experience. Some other teams have shown interest in him as an offensive coordinator, like the Detroit Lions, as they're trying to flush what happened this past year after losing Ben Johnson. I'm just not all that high on Zac Robinson. There was a lot of talent there, and I don't think that he did a great job of maximizing it. And again, the biggest red flags for me, issues that we saw with Kevin Patullo. The play calling feel, the inability to string together good plays within calling a game. So today's poll question is this. It's an obvious one. Who do you want the Eagles to hire as offensive coordinator? Brian Daboll is still my number one option, but he might be getting a head coaching job, and we'll get into that coming up here in just a moment. Coming up next, a lot of buzz into some potential Eagles offensive coordinator options, names to watch, but some offensive coordinators they might lose out on, and one who they might be able to hire who they also have familiarity with. A lot of movement across the NFL as the offseason is well underway for all but 4 teams in the NFL as championship weekend is coming up this upcoming weekend. Today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is sponsored by Bubs Naturals. I love their collagen. In fact, right before we started recording this show, I put some collagen into my coffee. That is something that I do as part of my daily routine. And if you're busy to start off 2026 and you had a big 2025 holiday season, is all that travel and good food wiping you out? Did it set you back a little bit with some of your fitness goals? Is recovery from the holiday craziness taking longer than it used to? I know getting older can suck as well. I just turned 34. It's 2026, which means it's time to get back into the swing of things, a healthy routine, looking good and feeling good. And this year, I'm not just about getting into my normal healthy routine and maintaining that, but I'm actually helping my body turn back the clock. You might not know this, but the things that happen to our body as we get older, stiff joints in the morning, longer recovery from the gym, hair thinning, nails breaking, even skin losing that smooth glow, these things can be fixed. These things happen in the first place because your body's collagen levels start to naturally decline beginning as early as your mid-20s. Collagen is often referred to as the glue that holds our bodies together. So you can imagine that a decline in collagen production as you age has some big impacts on your body. That's where Bubs Naturals collagen peptides come in. Bubs helps restore collagen levels closer to what your body naturally had in its youth, so your joints feel stronger, your hair and nails grow healthier, and your skin looks smoother. Since I started taking Bubs, this has been a part of my routine the last couple of years, looking good, feeling good. I've been saying this for a long time. I felt as though I've been 25 years old over the last few years because I take supplementation very seriously, and that's collagen from Bubs. No junk, zero sugar, sweeteners, or fillers, third-party tested, NSF certified for sport and Whole30 approved, so you know it's clean and trustworthy. Also sustainably sourced from grass-fed, pasture-raised cattle, mixes seamlessly, dissolves in coffee, water, or smoothies without taste or clumps. Over 100,000 happy customers, voted 2024's best collagen by Health.com. So here we go. Live better longer. For a limited time, our listeners are getting 20% off at Bubs Naturals by using our code CHAT at checkout. Just head to bubsnaturals.com/chat. Use that code CHAT and you're all set. After you make your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that Philadelphia Eagles Now, Chase Sr. and Chat Sports sent you. These are the candidates who the Eagles are rumored to be interested in. Brian Daboll, talked a lot about him last week. This is an experienced play caller who oversaw top 10 offenses in Buffalo, helped to develop Josh Allen. He is coached under Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. He was Jalen Hurts' offensive coordinator at Alabama. He has familiarity with Nick Sirianni. Sirianni has said that he has looked up to Brian Daboll as a mentor. Daboll also coached Devontae Smith at Alabama, Saquon Barkley with the New York Giants. He was the NFL Coach of the Year in 2022. He did not have a lot of pre-snap motion with this offense with the New York Giants. I think they are actually like 31st, or 32nd in pre-snap motion this past year. But from a schematic standpoint, offensive mind point of view, I think he's one of the top candidates out there. But here's a prediction. I think Brian Daboll gets a head coaching job with the Buffalo Bills. In case you missed it, breaking news this morning, the Bills are moving on from Sean McDermott. He was with the Bills for 9 years. They made it to the playoffs 8 times. He won well over 100 games with Buffalo. But they came up short in the playoffs time and time again. He's also a defensive mind. Their defenses over the last couple of years have not been great. Brian Daboll is very close with Josh Allen. He turned Josh Allen and helped develop him into the MVP player who we see today. And I think he has the inside track of getting that Bills head coaching job, even though he got fired by the New York Giants and it got ugly there. Mike McDaniel, the Eagles would like to bring him in for an interview. Will they be able to bring him in for an interview? The Eagles also have familiarity with McDaniel as part of that Kyle Shanahan tree because the Eagles interviewed him all the way back for their offensive coordinator job in 2020 under Doug Peterson when McDaniel was with the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan. If McDaniel wants to be a head coach again, I think the Eagles can really help him because they have been a breeding ground for developing coaches and, of course, players. McDaniel, as we know it, a Kyle Shanahan disciple. In 2023, the Dolphins were number 2 in scoring, number 1 in total offense. His offense is very dynamic and has a good running game. We know that the Eagles prioritize running the rock. But with these Shanahan offenses, they do rely on anticipatory throws and throws over the middle. And Jalen Hurts at times has struggled with those or has elected to not make those types of throws. I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to get Mike McDaniel, though. Here's a report from Albert Breer that Mike McDaniel has made the rounds, and if Albert Breer had to guess, he'll probably wind up as offensive coordinator in the next week or so for a team. Albert Breer has heard that Tampa Bay could be a good spot for him, and that if he does a good job, he could be set up to be Todd Bowles' eventual successor. Mike McDaniel wants to be a head coach once again. He had some success with Miami, and he's shooting for that, and the Bucs could give him a pathway to become a head coach again. There is Charlie Weis Jr. I did a show on him the other day, a YouTube short on him. He was the former offensive coordinator for Ole Miss this past year and over the last couple of years under Lane Kiffin, and he is set to follow Lane Kiffin to LSU. He was named the SEC Best Play Caller Award in 2024. He is known to have a photographic memory. His dad, Charlie Weis, came up under Bill Belichick, was the head coach at Notre Dame. Wasn't really a successful head coach, but a really good football mind. And Charlie Weis has certainly gotten that. He has some good genes in that regard. And his offenses with Ole Miss were some of the best in the country. And the accolades, certainly there with the SEC Best Play Caller Award, the numbers backing this up as well. Ole Miss third in rushing in 2022, fewest turnovers in 2023, second in passing yards in 2024. They did a really good job, Weis and Kiffin, of generating explosive plays, but not turning the football over all that much. This is an intriguing young name to watch, and as we know, Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie love finding those up-and-coming offensive minds. Lastly, Bobby Slowik, the pass game coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, former offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, worked under Kyle Shanahan for a really long time. So he was the Texans OC in 2023 and in 2024. C.J. Stroud had one of the best rookie years of any rookie quarterback in the history of the NFL in 2023. And then it looked like he was on his way to becoming a bona fide star. C.J. Stroud was very average in 2024 under Bobby Slowik, and in 2025, he was just okay. In 2 playoff games against Pittsburgh and New England, C.J. Stroud was absolutely downright terrible. He looked lost. He looked indecisive. He was turning the football over at an alarming rate. He wasn't trusting what he was seeing. And C.J. Stroud has not been the same player since 2023. As Troy Aikman said during the broadcast yesterday, he's been chasing that success from his rookie year over the last couple of years, and he hasn't found it. He has not been the same player. So it's interesting in a way that Bobby Slowik coordinated and called an offense that led to Stroud having the best year of his career up until this point. What happened in 2024? I think the Texans' offensive line was a huge problem. And I do think that Stroud struggles without Bobby Slowik actually improves his candidacy and makes Slowik look a little bit better. He's been around Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel for a long, long time. We're talking like 10 to 15 years. He got head coaching interviews after 2023. He's got that play calling experience. But the question here for the Eagles, what happened over the last couple of years where he got let go as offensive coordinator and what happened in 2024? He does have some local ties. He was born in New Jersey. His family history, long history in the CFL, I believe the NFL as well. Another name to watch is Joe Brady, the Bills offensive coordinator, who since he replaced Ken Dorsey, I think he's done a great job coordinating the offense, calling plays. Buffalo went from being way too pass reliant under Ken Dorsey to having more of a balanced offense. James Cook has certainly helped there. Josh Allen won MVP last year. He was once again really good this year. And a big reason for that, Joe Brady, who was also the pass game coordinator at LSU in 2019 for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow absolutely loves Joe Brady, and that's when Brady really started to garner a lot of interest as a play caller and an OC. I think that alongside Brian Daboll, Joe Brady is going to get interviews to be a head coach, which he already has, but to get a head coaching interview with Buffalo, and him and Daboll, I think, are neck and neck to get that head coaching job. Joe Brady also has familiarity with the Eagles organization. He actually interviewed for the Eagles head coaching job in 2021. That job, of course, went to Nick Sirianni, but Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie know him well. They've had interest in him in the past. And if he's available, I think immediately he shoots up the leaderboard as one of my favorite Eagles offensive coordinator targets and one of the Eagles' favorite candidates. Before we dip on out of here, don't forget to give me a follow on social media. Over this football season, Eagles now picked up 14.5 million views. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned into the content. But I'm giving you additional content on my individual pages. We're past 20,000 followers on X, closing in on 47K on Instagram. Just started my TikTok page a little more than a month ago. We're already closing in on 10K there. Facebook at 18,000. So give me a follow and say what's up.